Hello everyone, this is Group 2, Team C, the affirmative side of uh, the debate. My name is Kevin Ojambo from Uganda, and I'm a laboratory technologist. I'll be presenting today with my fellow colleague, John Momo Mondi from Kenya. He can introduce himself more.
Yes, good morning, everybody. My name is Professor John Omondi Mwoma. I'm an associate professor of plant biotechnology and keen on working with microbial science. I'm an associate professor, and ah, we can start again. Sorry. Let's start again once and for all, please.
Yes,
Sure,
we were
sure.
tasked with the topic, should genetic profiling be used for border security and immigration policies? And my colleague and I, we we took the positive side of this, and we say yes, it should be applied, and we shall be giving reasons for that. Um, Introduction. Border securities often face challenges of fraudulent nationality claims, terrorism, smuggling, and inhuman treatment of immigrants, especially unaccompanied children. However, there's been measures uh, that were used, that are being used, and at the borders to combat these challenges. These measures have included biometric identification, border patrols, fencings. Most of these have been employed at the US-Mexico border, though with significant failure rates. And we believe genetic profiling can be employed to strengthen the border security. Genetic profiling is a laboratory technique that is used to identify or to determine the characteristics of DNA, and it is very useful in determining or identifying an individual from a sample of DNA by looking at the unique patterns uh, in the DNA sequence. This is done by analyzing the genetic markers, usually the short tandem repeats and the variable number tandem repeats found in the non-coding region of DNA using Gale electrophoresis. And this is made possible because different people have different non-coding patterns. And with the genetic profiling, we believe it can help in identifying relationships between individuals, aid in investigation of crimes, hereditary disorder analysis, among many applications. Um, we say yes, genetic profiling should be employed at the borders for the following reasons, and my fellow colleague will take up from there.
Thank you so much, Kevin. As again we repeat, it's yes, genetic profiling should be used for border security, immigration policies, because it can be used to develop a profile of human beings, plants, and animals, which can be used in controlling their movement. In terms of plants, in summary, genetic profile can be used to achieve the following: tracking plant-based contraband, verifying agricultural products, monitoring invasive species, and border controls, making sure we know the origin of the products we're dealing with. In animals, genetic profiling can be used to achieve the following: disease control, prevention of wildlife trafficking, and agricultural protection of genetically modified organisms and their regulation. In human, genetic profiling can enable us to achieve following: enhance border security, streamline immigration process, improve law enforcement, and public health surveillance. A case in time, the COVID-19 situation. We'll be talking about it. In plants, as we said, we can use genetic profiling in tracking plant-based contraband. So genetic profiling could help identify the source of plant material. A case in time is the teak wood, which we know has almost become extinct from its export from the Congo forest. So we can use genetic profiling in tracking timber and knowing where narcotics are coming from. Case in time, most of the narcotics are known to come from Afghanistan in terms of opium. Border control. In border control, genetic profiling of plants could potentially be used to verify the origin of goods and people crossing the border, although this will require careful consideration and privacy and ethical implications. We can move to the next, please. We move to the next slide, please. In animals, genetic profiling can enable us achieve the following: disease control, and this is common. We have the SARS, which causes bird flu, and this can be managed in terms of management of zoonotic diseases and help us track and prevent the spread of zoonotic diseases, which at times can be transmitted to human beings by animals. We can also prevent wildlife trafficking, and it could aid in combating illegal wildlife trade by verifying species and origin of animals crossing borders. In agricultural protection, detecting genetically modified or invasive species which could harm the local ecosystem. Again, when we talk about the ecosystem, we're talking about making sure that whatever is found within the ecosystem is sustained, and this can be achieved using genetic profiling. Thank you, and I guess my colleague will continue from this place so that we finalize the last 6 slides.
Yeah, thank you so much, John, for that explanation. I mean, we are looking at this as one health approach. So we looked at it in animals, humans, and plants. And my colleague has just discussed how it can be used to aid in security in plants and animals. And in humans, we believe if we generate a profile of the individuals that usually travel across borders, then genetic profiling can help in enhancing border security, and this can help in identifying individuals that try to cross borders using different false documents, especially in cases of human trafficking and in cases of people seeking asylum. They tend to use false documents, but with genetic profiling, we believe we can track in case of any falsification. Then two, it can help in streamlining immigration process. Usually, people tend to move to different countries for different purposes. For example, those seeking for jobs, those seeking for further education. And when they reach there, they tend to establish and obtain citizenship in those countries. And with the time, they tend to want to bring their families. But some people use this opportunity to bring people that are not actually related to them, just to exploit them. And we say In this kind of process, genetic profiling can help establish relationships between different people, and yeah, we can prevent such cases. Then there is improving the law enforcement. We believe with genetic profiling, we can easily trace criminals, especially those that have left their DNA traces at the crime scenes, and we are also able to track anyone linked to terrorist organizations, and this can aid in preventing future crimes. We believe with genetic profiling, we are able to identify individuals carrying genes associated with infectious diseases or drug resistance, for example, those with sickle cell carrier, those with mpox, and many other diseases. And this can aid in prohibiting them from entering their countries of destination. Now, on the rebuttal section, our colleagues claim that with genetic profiling, there are risks of violating the privacy and human rights. However, we believe there are laws that have been put in place to regulate this process, to regulate the use of personal data. For example, the General Data Protection Regulation, in the Europe, the Human Genetic Resources Administration of China, the Protection of Personal Information Act in South Africa. So these laws are there to actually regulate how personal data is used, and we believe the privacy will be not something to worry about. Then our colleagues believe that genetic profiling has scientific limitations and false assumptions, say defining criminality. However, we say that genetic profiling can only be employed to track criminals that have left DNA traces at the crime scenes. So it comes in to track or to aid in investigating after someone has committed a crime. Our colleagues still claim that there are ethical concerns such as discrimination and eugenic survival. However, for us, we believe there are policies that have been put in place to regulate the discrimination of individuals based on genetic information. For example, the GINA, the Genetic Information Non-Discrimination Act in the US, then the Genetic Non-Discriminatory Act of Canada, Ethical Guidelines for Research and National Health Act of South Africa. These laws have been put in place to regulate discrimination, especially during employment and getting involved in insurance and in research. So there are laws to restrict that, to regulate the discrimination. So we believe there will be no cases of discrimination. Then our colleagues claim that genetic profiling could harm the societies and international regulations, hence leading to loss of public trust. However, we believe during the process of developing these policies, there are strategies that are put in place to gain trust in the public, such as educating the public, engaging stakeholders, and many others. Then lastly, our colleagues claim that better alternatives exist. Yes, we believe they have existed, but I mean, they have had failure rates. I mean, they have failed at some points. An example of the 37-year Kenyan lady that was arrested in 2023 in Vietnam due to cases of drug trafficking. And we believe that if we have genetic profiling in place, such cases can be prevented as early as possible. In conclusion, we say that border control must not be seen as preventing the cross-border movement of people or their goods, but rather as assistance in regulating the orderly legal movement of people wanting to migrate either temporarily or permanently in this modern world. And immigration controls are there to regulate the movement. However, while genetic profiling could be a useful tool at the borders, it is crucial to carefully consider the ethical, legal, and practical implications to ensure that any use of genetic information is conducted with transparency, accountability, and respect for individuals. Um, that's the end of our debate, and would like to acknowledge Dr. Wafa Rashid, the PAPERI team, and the teaching assistants for their time, commitment, and always encouraging us in this policy advocacy course. And we look forward to the continuous mentorship. Thank you so much. I leave it to the question and answer session.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim.